There we go. Okay. Okay, should be pretty good. Okay, so first of all, for those of you that sometimes the internet connection on some of your sites is not at the highest level, so you might see it a bit blurry. Nothing I can do about that. What I would suggest is that you, if it's important for you to see it again on H and like sharp, go watch the replay in the members area afterwards. But other than that, everything should be pretty self-explanatory. And I just want to jump right into it. So first of all, I want you guys to understand what's really the purpose of targeting. Why is it really important to target? Okay, why is the targeting one of the fundamentals when doing Facebook advertising? Okay, now if you take two people, okay, if you take a person that has an amazing product, a phenomenal product, but his marketing is bad, his targeting is bad, he doesn't know who his ideal customer is, he will probably make good money because the product is good. But if you take a different person, which his product is not amazing, it's a good product, it's not an amazing product, it's not as good as the product of the other person, but his marketing and advertising, and he knows his ideal customer, and he really knows how to touch the client, he will probably be more successful, okay, because it's not only about the offer, it's about who you're showing the offer to. Okay, who you show the offer to plays a very big role in the whole process, in the whole marketing process, in the whole strategy. Okay, that's why it is important to know who you're targeting. It is important to know who to show your offer to. But other than that, for those of you that are saying that targeting is the most important and doing the audience research is the most important, I would say that I disagree with you. Okay, there is some sort of hype that people have built up on Facebook advertising and targeting where everything can be bad except the targeting and you'll make money. No, it's really not about that. I've seen people make a lot of money and make a lot of sales, and their targeting was literally bad, was really bad, but their product was good. Their product was good and they knew how to do Facebook ads, okay, which is the most important thing. Targeting plays a role. It's not as big as some of you might think, but it's just another point. It's just another, it just gives us more higher chance of succeeding and making that sale, because everything eventually builds up to creating that perfect offer and to basically increasing our conversions by a lot. It can be the product, it can be the product image, it can be the call to action, it can be the ad copy, the ad creative, the targeting, the ad objective, and all of these come together eventually to really give the customer the best experience, eventually to bring him through the funnel and eventually purchase. I'd say that the most important thing will be the product. Only after the product, I would say that targeting and Facebook ads is the most important thing. But mostly you want to understand that without a good product, without having a good product in mind, you won't succeed. Without having that product, you won't succeed. Like I said, targeting, focusing on getting that ideal customer, showing the product to the right person adds points. Eventually, you will succeed more than a different person that might have a similar product, but without these targeting techniques, without knowing Facebook advertising on the highest level, won't succeed as much as you. So that's why it is important that you know. And all of these eventually build us up as marketers. And the things that you'll learn here isn't only about finding products on AliExpress, finding products on Etsy and sending them. It's really about going into any business and tapping into any business in the future. That's why I don't even sometimes like to call it only e-commerce. This is basically you can do anything that you want once you understand how Facebook advertising works. That's why I'm so excited to learn this and improve every day. Anyway, the number one tool that you're going to use and that we're going to use when targeting, when finding audiences, and when really knowing how to find that buyer is going to be the Audience Insights tool, which is the default tool that Facebook has. And there are a lot of tools out there which are built to hack the system and to make it more efficiently. But I'll be honest with you, this alone okay, has worked the best. I've never had any problems with it, and I've found success with it alone hundreds, if not thousands of times. I don't need no tools. I don't need anything else to make this better. I might need tools for other aspects in my business, but when it comes to audience research, I noticed that using the audience insights tool alone has brought me to tremendous success. Now, a quick background of for those of you that are new to the audience insights. I'll make it short. Don't worry. I just want you to understand every aspect and tool here in the dashboard. Basically, you have the location where you're targeting. So you got the United States, United Kingdom, New Zealand, the whole world. If you want, if I remove this, this will actually target the whole world. For now, I'm just going to do the United States because that's most of our targeting is going to be towards the United States. Other than that, you can check specific ages, genders, okay, interests. This is where we're actually going to focus on the most. You have the percentage of ages and genders. So if, for example, I'm going to write here makeup, it's just random. This one, then you can see that 90% of women are into this interest and only 10% men are into this interest, which makes perfect sense because this is a makeup interest. And then you can see the percentage of ages that go into this interest. Then we have page likes, which is the most important thing, and I'll go into that in a second. But page likes basically shows you what the audience inside this interest, what pages he or she likes. So for example, this interest contains 1.5 to 2 million monthly active people. Now these 1.5 to 2 million monthly active people like these pages. Okay, so that's what you have to have in your hand. This interest contains these amount of people like these pages. Okay, they like more pages as well, but mostly the top 10 is what we're looking at. Okay, you got location, which shows you where most of these people come from. So for example, if I'm just gonna press the selected audience here, 14%, which is the biggest percentage out of this interest, come from New York City. Okay, which is here you can see how much more is it compared to the average. So on average, this is 25% more people than in any other interest on Facebook. And then you have the activity, which is how many pages they liked, how many posts they like, ads that they click, and you can see how if these people are more active, less active. You can see the blue one here is the actual people from the page, and the gray one is the average on Facebook. So you can see that this interest, for example, has a much higher average of people that like pages, click posts, click ads. Okay, then you have household income, home ownership. This one I less go into these type of subjects when I go into e-commerce. Okay, because it's really less important for us in what we're dealing with. And then you have purchase behaviors, which you have online purchases, retail spending, and as well, I don't really deal with these subjects with the purchase and household too much, because eventually it more depends on the interest that you're targeting rather than the behavior of this specific person. Now, other than interests, okay, you have behaviors. Okay, behaviors is a very, very, very powerful. Is something very, very powerful to target. Now, first of all, just a little bit of an understanding. An interest is just like a keyword that pops up a lot in Facebook. So it can either be a page. So for example, we got this page here, which is Orgulosa. Okay, now this is a page. Now sometimes this page will have an interest, sometimes this page won't have an interest. Okay, so in this specific example, it has a page, and then again, you see what type of people that are in this interest, like what type of pages they like. Now, other than that, you can see how many people out of this page are actually liking the actual Facebook page. So let me rephrase that. An interest is different than a page. Okay, you have to understand that. Of course, you can take a name of a page and then find it as an interest, which usually means that you're usually targeting the people in the page, but that's not almost entirely true. An interest and the page is two separate entities. When you're targeting an interest, okay, you're probably targeting most of the page, but you have to check and see if that's true. So for example, we have Orgulosa here, and Orgulosa has 986,000 likes on Facebook. Okay, you can see how many likes it has on Facebook. And out of those 986,000 people that are in this interest, 983,000 of them like the page. So this is actually really good, because if we're targeting this, we're actually targeting the whole page. But the most important thing here is the page likes, okay, which I will go to in a second. So that's the interests. Now, when we do ads, we're actually going to target specific interests. Now, probably most of you, how you've been doing right now is you've probably found interests, a good or bad interest, and then you just targeted them with Facebook advertising. Now, that's really, 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 really basic. Even if you find good interests, and I'm sure a lot of you have already gone through a lot of my videos and found good interests, it's not about only finding the interest. It's about knowing how to set up the ads. So if you've actually found the interests and know how to find interests, and you think that your job is done when you're dealing with targeting, then you're wrong here, because most of the job done when doing Facebook ads targeting is not only about the interests, but knowing how to combine the interests together with behaviors, together with an ad objective, together with a good budget, and basically all of this goes together into creating the most perfect ad. So it's not only about finding that interest. There's a lot more that goes into play here, okay? But for now, we want to focus only on the audience insights, because this is what this session is about. But after this session, you're going to have a bunch of homework that you're going to have to do. And afterwards, we're going to jump right into creating ads on the highest level. So let's just jump right into it. Now, after I explain to you guys what is an interest, let me explain to you guys what is a behavior. Now, an interest is usually a page, usually a keyword that jumps up a lot on Facebook. A behavior is data that Facebook has from different sources. So it can be from credit card companies, it can be from just like other companies that give Facebook data. So other than that, it can be depending on the person's behavior. Facebook knows something about that person. So for example, you can go here to behaviors, and we can go and write down, let's go to parents here, and we can actually target parents that have a child in the ages of 0 to 3 years. Now, Facebook has that data from different sources from his own behavioral patterns. That's a behavior type targeting. There's interest type targeting, and there's behavior type targeting. When combining both of them, you can reach the highest level. Now, most of the time, you won't need to combine both of them. Most of the time, you will only need to do interest targeting, depending on your offer, depending on your product. So if, for example, you're going to sell baby products, I would recommend to combine behavioral targeting with interest targeting to get the highest efficiency. You literally have dozens of ways to go here with behavioral targeting, from politics to life events, to languages, to relationship status. You can target single, in a relationship, engaged, married, and so on and so on and so on. So really the sky is the limit when it comes to targeting. So it's really important that even after you watch this session, you'll probably, for those of you that aren't here live, you'll probably want to go over it again on the recording, because you might miss a lot of things that I went over here, because it tends to be a little bit sometimes a little bit complicated, and it's important that we go over it again in case we forgot some certain aspects. So anyway, first things first, you have your niche. Okay, you have your niche. You might have already products, but you have your niche. Now, a niche is divided into categories. Okay, as some of you might already know. A niche is divided into categories. Now, those categories, by categories, by the way, I mean that if, for example, we take the kitchen niche, okay, the kitchen utensils and kitchen gadgets, that is divided to a lot of categories. Now, the categories is different from niche to niche. So, for example, in the kitchen niche, We'll probably have magazines, kitchen magazines. We'll probably have stores. Okay, we'll have kitchen stores. We'll probably have celebrities. Okay, people that are that deal with things that are related to the celebrities like Gordon Ramsay, that is really strong with chef and culinary. You'll have that. You'll have probably websites, sources of information, where you just like free websites out there where people can just go in and check for free recipes and not really commit into paying anything. So first things first, whenever you go into any interest, you'll want to open a spreadsheet. Okay, so for example, I'm just going to take the kitchen niche that I just came up with. Okay, I'm going to write that down. Okay, you want to have that spreadsheet. Now, usually the categories won't just jump into your mind, but the categories can be, it really depends on the niche. So for example, if we're talking about kitchen, like I said, it can be magazines, okay, it can be stores, it can be celebrities, personas, okay, it can be websites, website sources of information. Sometimes you'll have niches where there's more to that. So for example, if we're going to take the elephant niche, okay, now in the elephant niche, you'll probably I don't know if you'll have magazines or stores, but you'll probably have organizations, like Save the Elephants organizations, so that can be organizations, charities, okay, charities. I hope that's how you spell charities. I might be wrong here. So you have organizations, charities. You might have websites, just like websites of information elephants, and celebrities. You'll probably not have any celebrities. Stores, you'll probably not have any stores. Magazines as well. Now, the thing is about these categories is that you'll probably come up with categories the more you go into the niche. You understand? So sometimes you'll have a lot of categories, sometimes you'll have less categories. But the purpose of these categories is to organize your interests, okay? Is to be really organized with this, guys, because most of the time people that do advertising on Facebook, that do the targeting, they work in a very messy way. They don't even do this research, and they just target broad interests, and then they don't understand why they don't get any sales. Because when you target a broad interest, so for example, if I go here to Audience Insights and I'm going to write just kitchen, okay, I'm just going to target kitchen. I got here 30 to 35 million active people, which are in the United States. Now, if I try to sell a kitchen product to these people, then I'll probably fail miserably. Why is that? Because this is very broad. But why is it broad? Why is it broad? Because eventually, if you think about kitchen, everybody likes kitchen. Okay, I like kitchen. I cook sometimes. You probably cook sometimes. Your children probably cook sometimes. Your parents probably cook sometimes. We are all connected somehow to the keyword kitchen. Especially when this is about 10% of the population of Facebook. Now, I want you guys to have one rule in mind. If you're gonna take something from this session, is that the thing that matters the most when you do your targeting, okay, is the page likes. Okay, so this here, so top categories and page likes. Okay, so what do I mean by that? Now, again, if I go back to what I talked about before, you have the interest kitchen, right? Now, this interest kitchen has 30 to 35 million active people. These 30 to 35 million active people like these pages. Okay, I know that I'm going over this again, but it's really important to me that it's drilled very hard into your head, because this is the most important thing. Okay, these kitchen are built up of these 30 to 35 million people, and these 30 to 35 million people like these pages. Okay, like these pages and like these pages. So what this actually tells you is that if these pages aren't related to your niche, then the people that are in these interests aren't related to your niche. Okay, it's as simple as that. So very fast, if I'm going to write kitchen, for example, I'm just going to open a few pages here and see basically what I can find. So just going to open some of these pages and see if these things are really related to kitchen. Okay, because if they're not related to kitchen, then I know that my interest, I have no reason to target it. Okay, so for example, I opened a few of these pages here. So we got Love Hip Hop Hollywood, not related. We got El Gordo La Flecha, which I have no idea what this is, but it's not related. TMZ, not related, not related, not related, not related, and so on and so on. And nothing here, maybe except this small page that is related to kitchen. Everything else fails to be related to kitchen. What that tells me is that if I target kitchen, if I try to send an ad to this interest, what I'm actually going to target is this and this and this and this, and basically things that I don't really want to target. Okay, so other than that, of course, I'm targeting these as well. So I'm targeting Michael Kors, and I'm targeting Kitchen Fun with my 3 sons, which is good. But out of all of these, it's bad. Okay, so what we're actually looking for is we're looking for 70% or over, okay, at least 70% of pages here that are related to our niche. Okay, if we have less than 70%, if we have 50%, if we have 60% of these pages that are related to our niche, and the 40%, the other 50% aren't related to our niche, then it's going to be probably a bad interest to target. Okay, so first thing first, what I'm actually gonna look for when doing this audience research, when trying to find these passionate audiences, is something like this. I'm gonna go to Google, and depending on the interest, is I'm gonna start to think of, sorry, depending on the niche, I'm gonna start to think of possible categories that fall under this niche. So in kitchen, for example, like I said, we got magazines, we got stores, we got celebrities, we got websites. So first things first, I'm going to try and just write kitchen magazines here. Okay, kitchen magazines. You know what? I'm even going to change this to cooking because it's probably more related here. Okay. Then we're going to get a lot of resources. We're going to get fine cooking. We're going to top 10 cooking magazines, 20 awesome food magazines you should be reading. So I'm just going to start to open a bunch of things here. I'm going to start to test them out. I'm going to start to check them. So we got Martha Stewart Living. Okay. So so this one, for example, don't forget, guys, that we're looking for things that are related to cooking, to kitchen. Now, Martha Stewart Living, something about it just doesn't really burn with cooking for me. And if I read about it, it talks about inspired into improving your home garden and cooking skills. Okay, so yeah, that's okay, that's good. But I want to focus on cooking. So we got here, Taste of Home. With huge emphasis on popular and beloved recipes, Taste of Home prides itself on highly reliable and popular recipes. So this is actually more focused. This is actually something that I would try. This is something that is more related to cooking. So I'm going to go here, and I'm just going to write that down. Taste of Home. I want to see if that comes up. It comes up. Taste of Home. Now this is pretty big, by the way. This is 3.5 to 4 million. Okay, so I'm going to go over a few of the things here, a few of the pages before I decide if I want to add this to my interest list. So for example, this is our interest list, and we're going to have a bunch of interests. We're going to add them here, because this is what we're going to use eventually when we're going to do our targeting. Okay, so we're going to go here, and I'm going to actually, let me close these tabs really fast. When you're actually going to go over and do these things, guys, you're going to have a very messy browser, and that's okay actually, because if you're not messy, you're not working, especially when doing Facebook advertising. But it's really important to have everything, not too much things that are messing with your mind. So I'm just going to open a bunch of things here and see if if the things here are related to cooking. And okay, so this I can jump to conclusion fast that this is related to cooking. This I love country crafts. Yeah, if cooking didn't jump right up, then it's probably not that related to cooking. 12 tomatoes, yeah, good enough. Grandmother's kitchens, okay, that's good enough. Yep, good enough. Taste of home. Okay, that's the magazine. Country door, that's not related. So as you can see, even though this is a magazine, guys, I'm having a difficulty finding things here that are related to kitchen. So I'm just going to continue and check a few more pages here, because I said over 70% is what I'm looking for. If I don't have over 70%, then I'll probably throw this interest away and move on to the next one. So let's see what. So Pillsbury, Diamond, okay. The Pioneer Woman, let's just go over a few things here. Yeah, okay, so this is cooking as well, this is cooking as well. From You Flowers, okay, so this is just flowers, King Arthur flower. Okay, so this is like a, this is exactly on the border here, because we have a lot of pages here that are related to cooking, but we have some pages here that aren't related to cooking. So I am going to write this down, okay, because most of the pages here are related to cooking. Now, other than writing the page down, the interest down, there's another aspect that you want to look over. So, for example, we have the page. Okay, so we're going to copy that, of course. We're going to go here, and we're actually going to go and put this under magazine, okay, because it's a magazine. So we got Taste of Home under magazines. Now, other than just putting the interest under the category, it's really important that you take the affinity score. Now, the affinity score is actually how much more likely that person is to, how much more likely is a regular person on Facebook is to like that page compared to any other person on Facebook. So in this case, is 6.2. What does that mean? Basically, every sixth person on Facebook in the United States, of course, every sixth person on Facebook likes this page. Now, what does that tell you? That tells you that it's not really that targeted, okay? Every sixth person on Facebook is part of this interest, which means that from the 50 people that are on, from the 40 people that are on this webinar today, at least 6 of you, 7 of you probably are in this interest, okay? So that's why it's important that we write down the affinity score of the actual interest. So what we're going to do, we're going to write down the interest, and then we're going to write down the affinity score. So we got 6.2, okay, like that. That's what we're going to do. And then we're just going to continue our research. Okay, we're going to continue to go over the magazines, okay, really one by one, checking them, not being lazy, and really trying to build up that list. So we got Bon Appetit, up your cooking skills with Bon Appetit. So we're just going to check that out as well. And we're going to see. Now, sometimes when you're actually searching for interests, you're going to have a few that are similar names. Okay, so you got Bon Appetit here, and then you got another Bon Appetit. So it's important that you check both of them. So in this case, we have below 1,000 people, which means that's the wrong interest. So we're just going to do that again. We're going to target the second one, okay? Which again is 1 to 1.5 million people. Now, in this case, this might even be a better interest, okay? Because just from a simple look at this page likes, I can already see that most of the things are already related to kitchen, to cooking. And the affinity score here is larger. So I'm just going to go over a few things here. Okay, now I'll basically open a few pages and check if it's related to cooking. Now, what I'll do is basically just not waste a few minutes on checking that. I will assume that the things here are related to kitchen, to cooking, and I'll just copy that under magazines. Okay, like this. And again, I will take the affinity score, which is bigger this time. It's 30, which means it's a more targeted interest, and I'm going to copy that. Okay, so 30x, like that. And you're basically going to go over and continue to do this. Now, other than just going through the page in Google and going one by one, what you want to do is, now this is where it gets really messy, because every single interest that you check would have pages Now, every single one of these pages are an interest as well. So what you're going to do is you're actually going to open you're going to usually open all of the pages that you can find under an interest, okay? And you can actually start to check these pages as well. Because nobody told us that these pages aren't good as well, and they're probably good. Because if this Bon Appetit, the interest, these 1 to 1.5 million people like these pages, then these pages are probably related to cooking as well. So you're going to actually open all of these pages, and you're going to start checking and seeing which one of these are related to cooking, and then you're going to check it on the audience insights. Now, once you enter this page, I don't want you to just look at this, oh, okay, it's related to cooking, I'm just going to put it in my spreadsheet. No, you don't want to do that. You want to check each one of these interests and see how focused they are on your niche. So we got Ali's Kitchen, for example. So I'm just going to copy that, and I'm going to check and see what's up with that. Okay, now sometimes, by the way, sometimes you won't find an interest. Okay, sometimes you'll get to a point where the page isn't available as an interest. Now there is so what that tells you is that it's either the page is pretty new, either it's not very popular. But if that's the case, then nothing you can do. You just need to move on, because some pages you won't be able to target. So we're just going to move over and go to Blue Apron, and we're going to check that out. So it's going to write down Blue Apron. Let's see what I can find here. Okay, so again, 2 to 2.5 million people now. The thing is about this, for example, is really quick. I can already see here. I can go over, and just by looking at it, I can see that things here aren't really related to cooking. Now we got the Ninja Coffee Bar, for example, which is you can somehow relate it to cooking, but it's not that cooking that we're looking for. So I won't consider this a cooking page. And I'll just go over a few more. You've got Kim Crawford wines, vodka. Okay, makeup or Oasis Hotel and Resorts. Here you got a few kitchen pages. You got some candles, and as well, it's basically 80% of the things here aren't really related to cooking. So I'm just gonna remove this and move on. Now it's really important, by the way, guys, that you remove the interest before you check a new interest, because if you go on and just write down the interest, a new interest, then it'll combine both of them, and then your analyzation will be very, very bad. So it's important, by the way, every time you check for an interest, every time you go over an interest, you wanna make sure that you're only checking that specific interest. Okay, so I'm gonna go over, forget about Blue Apron, and move on. So we got Bon Appetit Pizza, which is another page. I'm just gonna copy that. See what I can find under that. Again, no page, move on. This one, so this one is probably it looks like a page. Let's see. Movie, why does it say movie? It's not a movie, but let's see if I can find so this is basically okay, so this is the app. Now, sometimes, by the way, when you're going to check a interest, you're going to notice that we have the page, right? We have the page of the interest. Now, the page has 1 million likes on Facebook, and out of that, 477,000 likes are from the United States. Now, out of those 477,000 likes, only 84,000 people from this interest, which is the same interest as the page, actually like this page. Okay, remember when I said that the interest and the page are two different entities? You can really see that here, because if you're going to target this interest, you're actually only targeting about a fifth from the page. Okay, you're actually only targeting a fifth of the people from the page. Now, that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. Okay, that doesn't always mean it's a bad thing, because as long as the pages are related to kitchen to cooking, then you're okay, then you're good. So you want to go over, you want to check and see again if it's related, if it's not related, and so on and so on. Now let's say we went to the pages and this is related. Okay, let's say we went through the pages and this interest is related. Okay, like I said, I don't want to go over and waste another 5 minutes in checking every page. So after the pages are, I'm checking that the pages are related, then I'll go into the actual interest and I'll check what it is. So in this case, it's this page. And I'll basically see what it is. Now, beforehand, we didn't really need to check what the page is because it was magazines. We checked magazines. But this time, I don't really know what this is. This seems like an app. So just to be sure, I'm going to go into the page and try to see what I can find here. So they usually have a website, so I'll even go into the website and see what is up. So this is just a, looks like a app where it's a website app for recipes. So in this case, I'll just combine it together with websites, and I'll just write this down here. So I'll copy that, and I'll go and paste it here. And again, I'll write down the affinity score, which is 7 in this case. Now, the more you go into this, guys, the more you're going to see more deeper interests, the more you're going to see more targeted interests. So, for example, you have your affinity scores. By the way, the affinity score, the higher the affinity score, the more targeted and focused the niche is. Okay, the more targeted and focused the niche is, which means if you're gonna find affinity scores that have over 100 or over 200, then the people there are probably more targeted. Now, to find those interests, it's just about looking through more and more pages. So if I'm just going to go over and continue my research and test out a lot of pages, I will eventually get to there. Because the more you dive deep into this, so for example, you write down an interest, then you open a few pages, and then you take those pages and then you check those interests, right? And then you continue on that cycle. Eventually, you will find deep pages where people don't even get to touch on, which is where our power comes to. Finding those small pages where people haven't ever even targeted ever. So, or it just has a lot less competition, because when we're doing Facebook ads, when we're actually dealing with our business, we're usually targeting people with interests that have a lot of competition. But when you dive deep into audience research, when you dive deep into interest research, you'll usually find interests that have a lot less competition. So, for example, other than just going through audience insights, another thing that you can do is, like we wrote down kitchen magazines, we can just go ahead and write kitchen or cooking stores. Okay, and then to go over things like that. So we have Williams Sonoma, which is a very, very big known cooking store, which as well will probably be pretty big. So yeah, it's 1 to 1.5 million, and a lot of things here aren't really related to cooking, like Pottery Barn and just like a bunch of things here, like Cora's Tory Burch, which is just like a designer brand. So yeah, this is another interest that I won't deal with. So most of the time, you'll want to really search for those deep interests. So just to continue my research on that, I'm going to try and check another magazine. So let's see, let's go a little bit further here and see what I can find. So let's try to do that. Let's take fine cooking and check that. See what I can find. So we got fine cooking. So this is a little bit smaller. You see we have 450 to 500,000 likes, monthly active people. But again, it's not related to what I'm looking for. You see, you get a lot of random things here that aren't related to our niche. Okay, not related to our niche. So we're gonna continue our search. Let's try Cooks Illustrated. Let's see what I can find there. So again, it's important that I check them both. Okay, so for example, here, guys, this is actually a more deeper niche, a more deeper interest. Okay, you see here that, let me just remove one of them, I think. Yeah, okay. So you see here that the affinity score is 236, which means this is a more rare interest, a more rare, less targeted, less broad interest. Okay, and it's beautiful because everything here is literally related to food. Everything here is related to cooking, maybe other than this. Yeah, this is half because it's cooking, travel, home improvement, gardening, but over 90% of these interests are related to cooking, and we got a few chefs here as well. Okay, which if I open them up, I'll get to a lot of new pages that I can try and check. Then I have more targeting. Now, of course, first thing that comes in mind when you think of a chef, so you got what's his name? You got Gordon Ramsay, you got Jamie Oliver. So if we just go ahead and target, so first of all, I'm going to take this. First of all, I'm going to take that, and I'm going to put this under my magazines, and as well, I'm going to put the affinity score, which is 236. 236. Now it's very important that you have this list because it more depends. It's not about finding this interest, guys. When you find this interest, you literally did half of the job. Okay, even after finding all of these interests and even after creating these lists, you literally did half of the job. Okay, so don't think that once you have the interests, that's it. You're ready to go. It's all about knowing how to combine them. It's all about knowing how to target them efficiently. Okay, so of course we're going to go over that in the next session where we actually set up our ads. So after you save that, we open a few chef pages here that we're going to check in a second. But just for an example, if I go ahead and just write down, like say Gordon Ramsay, got a few Gordon Ramsays here. We got a lot of Gordon Ramsays. So let's just check the first one. Now, if I just go ahead and check Gordon Ramsay, the first one, then you can see that again, we have a bunch of things that aren't related to cooking. Okay, you got sports, you got Logan Paul, you got Fox, I don't know what this is, and even his own page. If you're going to target this interest, you're actually only targeting a fifth of his likes on Facebook. Okay, so this is not something that I want to target. As well, Jamie Oliver. That's his name, right? Jamie, yeah, it's Jamie Oliver, right? So even Jamie Oliver, if I try to target Jamie Oliver, same thing. We're probably dealing here with, actually Jamie Oliver might be a bit more targeted, as you can see here. Things are more related to food, but you'll probably have because I want you to go into the mind of the customer, of the consumer. Okay, now, probably most of you aren't passionate about cooking. You cook here and there, but you're not passionate about cooking. That's why most of you probably know who Gordon Ramsay is. Okay, probably most of you know who Gordon Ramsay is because he's a very known figure. You don't need to be a cooking enthusiast to know who Gordon Ramsay is. But you probably need to be a cooking enthusiast to know who Bobby Flay is, to know who David Chang is, to know who Eric Rippert is, to know who Jacques Pepin is, Julia Child, and so on, because these cooks aren't the mainstream cooks. People that follow these cooks probably follow them because they're actually cooking enthusiasts. Okay? So you could actually think about that in every niche out there. So for example, in the boxing niche, if you think about Muhammad Ali, the most famous boxing champion out there, probably most of you know who Muhammad Ali is, and I'm pretty sure that you're probably not boxing enthusiasts. You're probably not passionate about boxing, but people know who Muhammad Ali is. A very known boxer. So you gotta go into the mind of the customer here, of the person that is passionate about the niche. A person that is passionate about the niche will know who Muhammad Ali is, but he'll know boxers that other mainstream people won't know about. okay, nothing is coming up to my mind now because I'm not a boxing enthusiast. But if I do a little bit of research in the boxing niche, I'll probably come up with interest and with boxers that people don't hear about unless they're deep into boxing. So same thing comes with cooking and fishing and hiking and hunting and so on and so on. So we're just gonna go ahead and check these ones as well and see what we can find. So if we're gonna go here, Bobby Flay, let's check this out. Jamie Oliver. Okay, so Bobby Flay as well, he actually has a lot of likes on as well. He has 1 to 1.5 million active people. So again, I don't like this. I don't like what I'm seeing here. Really broad, really random. So I'm just gonna skip him. I'm gonna check this guy, David Cheng. Is he even a cook? Seems that he doesn't even look like a cook. Yeah, so he might not even be a cook, a chef. So let's check Eric Rupert. He seems like a cook, like a chef. So I'm just gonna take this guy, and I'm gonna copy him and see what I can find. Let's remove Bobby Flay. Okay, nice. So as you can see, we removed Bobby Flay. We're only targeting Eric Rupert, and that's pretty nice. You see, we have 100 to 150,000 people, and I don't know these pages, but I'm gonna check them out. It seems that most of these pages are probably related to cooking. Now, what's nice about this, guys, is that usually when finding good interests, like Eric Rupert, you'll find good pages. And like I said before, you'll want to check these pages in audience insights as well. Okay? Don't be lazy. Check interests, open interests. Every time you check a new interest, open up all the pages. Okay, you want to really have and dial up your list. So for example, in this case, celebrities will probably be chefs. Okay, celebrities will be chefs. So now let's say these interests are all related to cooking, and as well, when I'm targeting Eric Rupert, I'm actually targeting his whole audience on Facebook. So that shows that's pretty good. Affinity score is pretty high. So basically, because of the pages, because of having, again, the first thing that you want to look at, guys, is the pages. Okay, if over 70% of the pages are related to your niche, then you're good. You're good to go, and you copy the chef, the interest. You add them to your magic list. Okay, magic list. Oops. And of course, like before, just copying down the affinity score. So we got 257. Boom. Okay, let me just take a sip of water here. Okay, so let me see here for a second. There's yeah, okay, guys. So I see there's a bunch of questions coming in. I'll go over a few questions at the end. Okay, don't worry. So now the thing is, guys, don't create lists of hundreds of interests, because you can literally go months, not months, but weeks into this and literally create huge lists of interests. Now, once you hit the 20, 25 interests, you're probably, that's good enough. Even though you might have much more which you can add, once you hit that 20, 25 interests, you're good. Okay, you're good. But you have to have those 20 to 25 interests. You want to have a balance of high affinities and low affinities. So you don't want to have a 20, 25 interest list with everything having affinity scores below 50. You want to have a mix of a lot of types of affinities. So 25, 30, 20 to 30 interests, and like 10 of them should have over 150 affinity. Another 10 should have between 50 to 150. Another 10 should have below 50. So try to keep that balance. That balance will usually come naturally the more research you do. So don't worry about that. So That's that. I hope I made sense on how to do that research. It's a pretty simple process. As you can tell, once you know the tactics and once you know the strategy, okay, it's all about creating the lists. Now, this is the tip of the iceberg. This is really the tip of the iceberg because there's much more to go through when targeting. It's not only about finding those interests, but it's about knowing how to target this. Okay, it's about knowing how to do the flex targeting. It's about knowing how to combine the interests correctly. For those of you that don't know about flex targeting and so on, then I'll go over that as well in the next video. But this is really the tip of the iceberg, guys. So, for example, you have a bunch of kitchen, you have a store. We didn't go over stores, but you get the point. If you come up with a store, you want to write down that store interest. So, for example, if you go into an interest and you check that page, and that page is a store, is just like a cooking store which sells utensils, and you probably want to put it under store. If it's a chef, you want to put it under celebrities. If it's a website, under websites. Now, sometimes magazines and websites will be very similar because sometimes a website is an online magazine. So it really depends on if the magazine is a subscription type magazine. So if the magazine is something you need to pay for, then I'll probably put it under magazine. If it's a website where it's free, I'll probably put it under website. Because the purpose of this, guys, is to eventually divide the categories to different types of people. The people that spend money on their niche, and the people that just consume without spending money. So, people that are usually interested in the magazines and stores are more people that are more buyer's intent, and people that are more interested in the celebrities and websites are people that are less buyer's intent and more about consuming. But it doesn't mean that we only target magazines and stores, because sometimes you'll be shocked that people that are in the websites category are much more buyers than magazines. It's different. That's why I like to do these categories. So, for example, if I'm going to go to the elephant niche, okay, if I'm going to go to the elephant niche, first things first, I'll probably try and check the broad affinity, the broad interest, sorry, and I'll see what I can find here. Now, again, a bunch of things here that some of them are actually related to elephants, but most of the things here are not really related to elephants. Now, another thing that you have to understand is, again, I try to think of the customer, of the consumer. A person that we're not looking for, if we're going to sell elephant products and necklaces or shirts or anything in that niche, then we'll want to really target those passionate people that are really they really care about saving the lives of the elephants, and that's all they do. So to find those people, then it's not just about targeting elephant pages, it's targeting the right elephant pages. So for example, I wrote an elephant. Let me just open a few things here, and maybe I can just find some really cool elephant pages just by doing this. So a lot of things here aren't even related to elephants, but just by opening a few pages here, I can find some things here maybe that are related to elephants. So just going to open some things here and see what I can find. Now, sometimes, guys, there are going to be interests where you won't have all of these categories. Okay, you won't have magazines and stories and celebrities and websites, and that's not a bad thing. Okay, it just means that that niche is less popular. It means that it has less pages. So sometimes you'll only have organizations and websites. Sometimes you'll only have websites. That's not a bad thing. So if your niche, you can't find anything else in websites or anything else in magazines, then it's okay. So I opened a few of these pages. Now we got African Wildlife Foundation, which is actually probably towards saving the elephants. Now, why is this not a good interest to target? This isn't a good interest to target because even though this is Save the Wildlife, Save the Wildlife Foundation, African Wildlife Foundation, and if we're focusing on elephants, we want to focus on elephants. Okay, we don't care about the zebras, we don't care about the deers, we don't care about the gorillas. As sad as that sounds, we care about the elephants. So That's why it's important that we find those elephant interests. So we got elephant voices. Okay, got this elephant voices, a non-profit organization. Okay, that's already good. Okay, so this is worth a try. Let's take this, we're going to copy that, and we're going to paste that here and see what I can find. Okay, so we got 100 to 150,000 monthly active people. Now, sometimes, guys, sometimes niches won't have a lot of pages that are related to that specific niche. Okay, so that doesn't mean that the interest is bad, because in this case we might not find a lot of things that are related to elephants, but we're looking at two things. When we reach a situation like this, because here these things here, they're like let me open them before I jump to conclusions. Okay, but it seems from my first intuition is that a lot of these pages are just about save the wildlife, which can be a lot of things in the wildlife. Okay, now sometimes you'll reach a point where there aren't enough pages for people to like. What do I mean by that? So for example, we have this elephant voices. Now let's just say, let's take an example that there's only 3 elephant pages out there in Facebook. 3 elephant organizations, charities out there. Now Facebook, when you check an interest on Facebook, on the audience insights, it has to come up with a lot of pages that those people like. If those pages aren't directly related to your niche, it doesn't always mean that the people aren't directly related to the niche, because there aren't enough pages in that niche for people to like. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So what I'm looking for other than pages is I want to see that the people in this interest like pages that are related to elephants. So I'm going to check this here. You see elephant voices. We got 106,000 people on Facebook that like this page, and out of that we have 106,000 people that are actually in this interest that like this page. Okay, so even though these pages, probably most of them aren't directly related to elephants, this is still a good interest to target. Okay, so I opened a few things here, and yeah, we got some wildlife here. We got save elephants. Okay, so we have a few things that are related to elephants. Elephant sanctuary, which we're going to check in a second as well. Voice of the animals, occupy for animals, just more things that are related to wildlife. Now, again, we're not looking. Usually, when you're looking for pages, when you're testing things, like if we go back to Gordon Ramsay. Okay, if we go back to Gordon Ramsay. Go back to Gordon Ramsay. You got a lot of things here that aren't even remotely related to cooking. So you got this comedian, you got this actor, okay, you got Fox Deports. Okay, Gordon Ramsay, things aren't even remotely related to cooking. Okay, but with elephant voices, even though most of these pages aren't directly related to elephants, we can still understand and jump to a conclusion that this interest is related to elephants, because all of these pages are for saving the animals. About 30% of them are save the elephants, and the audience is identical. The people that like the page are identical to the actual likes of the page. Okay, so we'll take this, we'll copy this, and we'll put it on the websites. And again, take the affinity and 194. Let's go ahead and do this. Boom. And then we get organizations as well. But again, we're just gonna, usually, like I said, I like to open a few things here and check them out. But in this case, I'll try and check save the elephants. Now, when I'm checking things that are directly related to elephants. Okay, I'm not gonna check voice of the animals. I won't check occupy for animals. I want to check things that are directly related to elephants. Okay, so again, I'm gonna just remove that. Check this out. So we got 700 to 800,000 monthly active people. Now, for example, here, guys, you got things that aren't remotely related to saving the elephants. Okay, you see, these pages aren't related. I don't even see one page that are related to elephants. So I'm just gonna skip over that. Okay, I'm not gonna write that down. Okay, I'm gonna try maybe this one. This one looks like something that can be pretty powerful, so I'm gonna check that one. Now, usually pages below 100,000 likes won't even appear in the Audience Insights tool, so you got to be ready for that. Which in this case it's not appearing, so I'll just remove that. And again, I'll just write elephant. Usually, just by writing the keyword, the niche, you'll probably find some interest to target. So, elephant. Let's see, you got African elephants. So let's check that out. African elephant. Save the elephants. Animal matters. Okay. So yeah, again, things here aren't really related. The two elephants, they're pretty broad. They're pretty random. Like, I won't say they're random, but nothing here is strong enough for it to be related to elephants. That's why I'll probably skip this one. Let's check this one. The Elephant Sanctuary in Tennessee. Let's copy this. Let's see if I can. Okay, so that popped up. Let's check that one. Okay, nice. So this is another page that is pretty powerful. And as you can see, again, a lot of these pages are related to saving the wildlife. But as you can see here, the audience, the people that are in this audience like this Facebook page. Okay, 302,000 out of 303,000. Okay, so that is a good indication. So again, first of all, check what this is. This is an organization. I'm pretty sure this is kind of an organization. So I'm just going to check out their website and see exactly what this is. Providing sanctuary for more than 20 years. This is probably an organization. So I'll just put it under organizations with the affinity score, which is 87. Now, by the way, just by doing a little research in elephants, I can see that elephants is a more problematic niche when finding interests. Now, that's actually not a bad thing. That's actually a good thing because it probably has less competition. So remember when I told you that you want to find at least 20 interests before jumping into a niche? So sometimes you'll have plenty of interests, like the kitchen, the cooking niche, where you can find literally dozens and dozens of, even hundreds of interests, and it's nonstop. But when going into the elephant niche, for example, we might not find more than 5, 6, 7, maybe max 10 interests that are related to elephants. Even if that's the case, then it's okay. So don't think that if you don't have 20, or if you think that you need more, don't jump to those conclusions, because sometimes even this is enough. Okay, it's all about finding the good targeting interests. As long as eventually the total amount of people surpasses the, I'd say, 300,000, 400,000 people, as long as the total amount of the audiences together combined surpasses the 400,000, then you're good. Okay, that's the most important. Yeah, I think that's basically it with the audience research using the Audience Insights tool. Now, like I said, guys, this is literally the tip of the iceberg. Okay, I really believe that from the next session, the real actual strong training begins, because now that you have the foundation and now that you know how to find interests, you basically learned 5% of how this business works, because the 95% that's left, will literally change, will blow your mind, because it's not only about finding the product and finding the interests and then that's it. You're good to go. It's literally, it's not about that. It's knowing how to combine these interests, knowing how to combine and target and optimize correctly. Okay, so even though this you seem like, okay, yeah, cool, I know how to find the interests, you'll notice in the next session that, because next session we're actually going to do the ad setup, you'll notice that it more depends on how you target the interests. Okay, how you really combine them in the most effective way. Okay, guys, so I'm really, really, really excited for the next sessions, because that's where I'm actually going to start to release these ads and really start to get some money in. So that's why I'm extremely excited for that. Yeah, anyway, guys, really quick, let me know if you have some questions. Like I said, it's going to be difficult for me to answer everything on this session, so I'm going to do this for 5 minutes. Most of the questions will probably be answered in the Q&A that we're going to have at the end of the week. So let me just, well, you guys are active. Holy shit. Okay, let's see what I can do here. Okay. So you got Ronnie is saying Ronnie is asking a powerful interest where the audience likes the page 100% and the affinity is say 300 plus affinity, and all pages are related to cooking. Can we not just run an ad to this one interest as it is extremely targeted, like the Cooks Illustrated magazine interest you found? So yeah, so Ronnie is asking basically, can we just send an ad to one of the pages where it's like the 300,000, so another 300,000, I don't remember the size, I think it was like 100,000. Can we just send an ad to those 100,000 people? Yes, we can, Ronnie. We'll probably have a higher success rate in sending it to in a different strategy, because we don't like to target just like that one interest, and I'll go more in depth in that in the next session. But basically, the Facebook likes bigger audiences. Okay, Facebook likes bigger audiences. That's why we want to really target want to target as much people as possible while still keeping it targeted. Okay, and I'll show you guys exactly how to do that in the next session. That's where really the more advanced techniques come into play. So it's not about just finding a targeted interest and then targeting it. Okay, of course you can find success with that. Okay, but you'll have higher success rates when going a little bit more deeper and even taking those targeted interests and even going that more targeted than that. So Natalie is asking, are the categories in your spreadsheet the main ones to write? So Natalie, it depends from niche to niche. Okay, it really depends what you find. So usually, what I'll do is I won't just write down the categories. I usually go through the interests. Okay, like what I did here, and then I'll after going through the interests, I'll try and see like what category it comes from. So for example, let's say this is blank. Let's say all of this is blank. Okay, so let me just erase that. So let's say in the kitchen I start to check interest, and then I come up with a chef. So I'll write down a category called chefs. Okay, then I come up with magazines. So first of all, I'll write down the chefs, and then I'll continue and I find some magazines. So I'll go ahead and write down a category that's called magazines. Okay, and so on and so on. So that's why the categories depend on the niche. Okay, like I said, elephants won't have magazines and chefs. Okay, elephants will have charities, organizations. Cooking won't have organizations and charities. So it really depends on the niche that you're going with. So Ronnie is asking, do you ever completely outsource your audience insights research, and can that be successful too? Yeah, so basically, I'll be honest with you, I I don't really outsource it because it's, first of all, like finding enough interests for one niche shouldn't take more than an hour and a half. And once you do that, that's it. You're basically done. Because if you're successful in that niche, then that interest list that you found, that you built, can hold on, you can hold on for it for literally an year and make hundreds of thousands of dollars on that interest list. So because after that, you usually scale out to lookalike audiences and retargeting and custom audiences and much more that we're going to go over as well in later videos. But I usually invest that hour and a half in finding his interest because, of course, like in this current situation, like I currently I don't do that anymore, the audience research, but that's because I have somebody that I've been training for a long time. It's impossible. I won't say it's impossible, but it's going to take you a lot of time to outsource this to a VA, because I want it to be on the highest level. So either you find somebody that you can really teach how to do this in a very efficient way, or do it by yourself, because like I said, you only invest that amount of time, and that interest list will work for you for months to come, if not over a year. So Hanlene is asking, do you use affinity as a standard of an interest as high as possible or related pages should be the main goal? So Hannah is asking, what's more important, the page likes or the affinity score? And it's a very simple answer. The page likes is the first top priority. Afterwards, I will deal with the affinity score. But like I said, I will write down the affinity score, guys. The reason I write down the affinity scores is you'll understand that in the next session. Okay, there's a very important reason why I write down the affinity scores, and you'll understand that in the next session. But basically, any interest that has over 70% of likes, 70% of pages in the page like section, you'll want to write it in your spreadsheet. Okay, and as well, you want to write the affinity score like what I showed you. Of course, like I showed you before, some interests won't have a lot of pages, like the elephant one, where you saw a lot of them were save the animals, but that's okay in that scenario because the pages that were on the bottom, most of the likes to that specific page came from the interest, okay? So Nick is asking about the affinity score, and yes, affinity score is how much more likely a person is to like a page compared to any other person on Facebook. So, for example, yes, when the affinity score is 6, it means every 6th person likes that Facebook page. So, for example, if I go ahead and let's say I write Walmart. So affinity score of Walmart is 1.2. This audience. Oh, okay. Yeah, actually you're right. So yeah, basically the affinity score. Yeah, it doesn't matter because anyway, the higher the affinity score is, the more targeted it is. But the affinity score is how much more likely not out of the Facebook as a whole, but how much more likely people are to like this page out of the interests. Okay, but yeah, that doesn't need to matter to you because, like I said, it's important that you write down the affinity score of everything, and I'll get to that more deeper in the next session. Okay, so Nick has a question about the Facebook likes and page likes. So, for example, so Walmart. Okay, I'm going to take Walmart. So basically, Facebook is how many people like this page. Okay, how many people like this Walmart page out of the. So, for example, if we go into Walmart, we got 32 million. Now, out of those 32 million, 23 million like that Facebook page in the United States because we're targeting the United States. But out of the interest, 11 million people like the page. So audience is how many people out of the interest like the page. Facebook is how many people like that page in general. So Han is asking if, for example, your product is a fishing rod, will you target will the targeting include an outdoor general store in the target audience or just fishing gear stores? So again, an outdoor gear store is probably related to fishing, but just understand that the more you relate and the more you target fishing, the stronger your ad will be. So you can target outdoor stores, but you have a much lower success rate than if you target just fishing. There's no why would you target general outdoor stores when you can target fishing? Okay, there's no lack of interest pages. There's no lack of pages. Okay, so the focus is first of all to try to focus as much as possible in the niche. If you find that it's almost impossible for you to target that niche. There are some very, very, very difficult niches out there that literally have almost no pages. So you need to take it one step ahead, one step further, and target a more broader niche. But most of the time, you'll always find pages that are really directly related to that niche. Let's see what I got here. Yeah, I'm just gonna answer one last question, and then I'm gonna end this because before that, exactly for these reasons, we have the Q&A sessions. Okay, so Joe is asking, I have done this kind of research, found a bunch of interests related to the niche, all between 250 and 900 affinity, and stacked them. I've also ran the one broad targeted interest only. High affinity, and that has gotten better results than the stacked. Why? Both are stacked and single interest tests were roughly the same audience size. So I've also ran the one broad targeted interest only. High affinity, and I don't quite understand the question, but let me see if I can answer it anyway. So basically, you want to eventually target the bigger that you can, like the biggest that you can. So like Facebook, you'll have better results with targeting a 1 million audience than targeting a 300,000 audience. So that's why instead of, I'm not saying you'd rather target a broad audience than a high affinity audience, but you'd rather stack a lot of high affinity audiences to create that 1 million audience, because that will probably give you better results than a one broad audience. But I'll be more than happy, Joe, if you can send me a Facebook message directly, because this seems like a very interesting question. Yeah, guys, anyway, I'm ending this now. I'm going to answer all of the questions after the ad setup, because a lot of these questions that I see here will probably be answered in the next session, because it's related to the ad setup. So don't worry about that if I didn't answer your question on this session. And of course, like I said, we're going to have a Q&A directly after that. And yeah, that's it, guys. Anyway, see you guys in the next session. Like I said, the next session is going to really, really, really open your mind, because that's where we're actually going to begin. That's where we're actually starting to dive deep into this training. And that's actually, for me, I'm really excited, because until now it was a lot of basics, a lot of just like understanding and refreshing our memory and building up the foundation. But for the next session, it's going to be really diving deep into Facebook advertising, and that's actually where the fun begins. So I'm really excited, guys, and I hope you are as well, because we're going to have a lot of fun, and there's so much to go over in the next upcoming sessions, like the Facebook ad setup, like scaling in the correct way, which, trust me when I say this, that if you guys can take anything from all of these 10 sessions, it's probably the scaling part, because the scaling part is what's going to help you take your store from $100 a day, $200 a day to the $5,000 a day. Okay, because where that's where my expertise comes in, and that's where you'll learn the most. And that's actually that's the funnest part, seeing making $100 and then overnight being able to 10x that, and then another 24 hours after that, how you can triple that. And that's just amazing. That's literally magic. So we have a bunch of things to go over. We have only just began. So I'm really excited, guys, and I hope you are as well. And I'll see you in the next session. So good night, good morning, wherever you guys are, and bye-bye.